What is up, y'all? Welcome to the Pony Preview. We will cover all things college football, especially SMU's game this weekend. I'm Peter Warner.
I'm Grace Thompson.
I'm Kevin Reynolds.
Welcome. So how are you doing, Grace?
Good. How are you?
We're
Happy
great.
to be here.
Good,
Okay.
good.
Excited for this?
Very, very, very.
It's going to be very fun. So we're going to cover all things college football. So to start, let's start with the third edition of the college football playoff rankings. The top four: Georgia comes in at number 1, Alabama at 2, Oregon number 3 at 9-1. Ohio State comes in at 4th since they lost to Oregon. Cincinnati, SMU's opponent this weekend, is ranked 5th at 10-0. That's very controversial right now. Michigan and Michigan State close out 6 and 7. Grace, what are your thoughts on this head-to-head ranking problem they have?
I think that the selection committee likes to say that they value head-to-head rankings, but if you look at what happened with Michigan overtaking Michigan State, it just doesn't seem like that's the case. And as you mentioned with the controversy kind of behind Cincinnati, I think there's been a lot of talk about how college football playoffs have been done this year and whether the selection committee needs to kind of change their way as college football evolves. And I think that's definitely going to be interesting in the next 2 rounds before the final picking.
Exactly. Kevin, and then let's go to the strength of schedule, kind of with Cincy. Mm-hmm. How's that kind of holding them back there?
Well, you look at Cincinnati, and it's the one thing that is holding them back from being into that top 4 spot because they have a very good win against Notre Dame early in the season. Mm-hmm. They also beat Indiana, which is not as good of a win, but still a good win. But when you look outside of the Notre Dame game, they don't have a single ranked win. Mm-hmm. And they also, when you look down the schedule, SMU is one of their best games left this weekend. But they really don't have a ton of opportunities. Potentially Houston, maybe, if they stay ranked in that conference championship game, if everything plays out the way that it's set to right now. But they don't really have the strength of schedule necessary to get back into that top 4, I would say, looking at it.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of Houston, they just got ranked, finally got some respect from the committee this week. They come in at number 24, and let's get into some of the games this week. And we will start with Houston. They play Friday night versus Memphis. Memphis comes into Houston. These are the 2 teams that took down SMU this year. So it'll be interesting to see. Houston has won 9 straight after dropping the opener to Texas Tech. Some interesting stats about the game. ESPN's Football Power Index gives Houston a 79.9% chance to win the game. The Cougars have an 8.5 point spread towards them. They're the favorites. And here's a little interesting stat. That wonderful kick returner, Marcus Jones, that broke all of our hearts in that Houston game. He's averaging 37 yards per return and leads the nation in returned kicks with 4. Kevin, what is your pick going to be for this game?
I say Houston wins by probably 2 touchdowns in this game. I don't think Memphis really has any of the firepower necessary to keep up with Houston's offense this year that just is coming off of, I know it's Temple, but another 37-point performance from Houston in last week.
I agree, Grace. What about you?
I'm going to go Houston too, but for a little bit different of a reason. I like to look at the game in comparison of how SMU played the 2 teams. Houston was obviously an impossible game to take your eyes off of, whereas Memphis just wasn't notable to me besides the 3 turnovers we had. I think in this game, Houston's offense is just going to beat Memphis down. I think that it's probably going to be a 3-touchdown game.
Wow.
I don't know. I just have a feel. I just think
SMU.
I think SMU lacked heart in their game versus Memphis. I think they just were kind of beat down, and I don't think Memphis is going to be a match for Houston at all.
I completely agree with both of you. I think Houston's going to look to boost that ranking and have the committee to begin to finally show them some respect. Because if they do pull off a win against Cincinnati, which is their most likely opponent in the conference championship, they should get a Major 6 bowl game. So I think they're going to come off and easily beat Memphis. I could see that 3-touchdown win right here as well. So Grace, why don't you get us into our next game?
Let's head over to the Pac-12 to talk about the big game this weekend between UCLA and USC, the Crosstown Cup, battle for the victory bell. In this game, I think the first thing to talk about is that Coach Dante Williams has already announced that true freshman Jackson Dart will be starting in this game. 3-year starter Keaton Slavis is facing another kind of questionable injury that no one's really sure of what has happened yet, apparently a lower leg injury. Since this is such a big game for the LA fan bases, I kind of thought that Dante would keep that call a little bit closer to heart throughout practicing this week to try to keep UCLA a little bit on their toes, expecting Keaton's gameplay. They also have wide receiver Drake London injured as well, so I'm not sure how USC's offense is going to match UCLA this week. UCLA is also bowl eligible for the first time under Coach Kelly, and I think this will give them a lot more drive as they face the Coliseum this weekend. UCLA's offense, coming off of a great 2020 season despite the circumstances, has a lot of consistency in communication and creative blocks, and I just don't think that USC has the communication or consistency with consistent quarterback changes to beat UCLA here. I think UCLA is going to take this game home, whether it's a good game or not. Not really sure yet. I haven't decided. I think Jackson Dart has potential to surprise us, but I think ultimately UCLA is going to take it home for the first time in a couple years.
Perfect. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to go with UCLA as well, kind of for the same reasons as Grace just laid out. But I think the important part with UCLA is you're looking at a lot of coaching decisions right now that are in progress and being made. I think they win this game, though.
I love how we're all agreeing here. I'm with the Bruins as well. I think Brad Kelly, he's just starting to get to meet some expectations at UCLA, and I think he's just going to be beginning. I think in the next couple years that Pac-12 South could be dominated by Brian Kelly and the UCLA Bruins, and I think he's going to start to prove that here and get that UCLA Bruins team to 7-4 this week come Sunday. There's another big game in the Pac-12. Kevin, what have you got on that?
Yeah, staying in the Pac-12, we got Oregon, number 3, Oregon visiting number 23 Utah in a game that could be a preview of the Pac-12 championship game in a couple weeks, right? Oregon, I think the important thing for this game, Oregon, if they win out, would likely control its own destiny to get into the college football playoff for the first time in a while. They've been there before, but haven't been there recently, so this is a game that can kind of really put them on the path for the rest of the season to really get there. A couple of interesting stats that we would like to read off. FPI gives the Ducks a 61, nearly 62% chance to win. And we have a lot of things to talk about with the Oregon offense that have kind of developed over the last couple of weeks with their quarterback play. Obviously, the transfer from Boston College there has been manning it all year. But from my point of view, it's Oregon by a touchdown. What would you say?
I mean, I'm kind of with you there. I'm surprised Vegas has the Utes favored by 3 points. I think that's really surprising, given that Oregon's ranked 3rd in the country and Utah's only at 23, but they're having Oregon as a 3-point underdog. I really like the underdog here. I think Oregon's gonna, control the game, and I think they're gonna win by 10. They are making a statement. This is a statement game for them as well. If they win this, they'll probably play Arizona State, who I think they will dominate in the Pac-12 championship and be able to control that college football playoff spot. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna go Utah.
Oh,
I think that Utah has an interesting ground play, and I think that Oregon's defense is going to have to kind of adapt and evolve to fill some gaps in their defense. And I think also with Coach Whittingham's record kind of at the line here, he's tied for the most wins for the school in school history.
I like that stat.
And so if he wins this game, he's going to be in the record books. And I think that in combination with the creativity that Utah has on offense could make for an interesting game.
I agree. I remember last time there was a big matchup in Utah for Oregon, Utah. That was that one where the Utah guy dropped it at the goal line. Do you remember that video?
Yeah.
So, I think there's a little sore taste in Utah's mouth after that. And then let's head to the SEC. Their one ranked matchup this week.
Bringing it back down south, I think Arkansas versus Alabama could honestly be a pretty interesting game. Some people, off of the Arkansas's Georgia loss, may expect Alabama to just annihilate Arkansas's offense, but I don't know. Alabama hasn't been as strong of a team as they have been in the past. I think they've shown in a few games that they aren't as dominant as they always have been. They're kind of struggle with LSU, and obviously their loss to A&M, I think are valid points to bring up in this conversation. The one thing of note is just going to be Arkansas's offense just cannot get it together, in my opinion. They had I think 11 penalties versus Mississippi State, 9 versus LSU. I think during coaching, during practice reports from the head coach, they were still struggling to fix that, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to take Alabama at home and Bryant-Denny. I think that's going to be an impossible match for them. I would like to see Arkansas pull out an interesting game and maybe even a close one, but I just don't think it's going to be possible.
Yeah, I would say Alabama wins this one. I know there's been that narrative around Alabama this year that they have not been as dominant as they have been in years past, but Alabama's still Alabama, and Arkansas until proven otherwise, is still Arkansas despite the 21 ranking. So I'm going to go with Alabama in this one.
I think Roll Tide for me as well. They've been dominant in their last 4 games. Since their loss to Texas A&M, they started to look more like the Alabama teams we've seen in recent years. In those 4 games, they have outscored their opponents by a combined score of 130 points. That's ridiculous. I think that Alabama's just going to dominate, and I think they're going to score way more than, beat them by way more than just 3 touchdowns like people are predicting. I think it can be 4 or 5 touchdown win for the Alabama here. So, and then that's that one. Then this is the biggest, highest ranked matchup of the week. We're going to head over to the Big Ten, and it's Michigan State visiting the Buckeyes. Some huge news came out of East Lansing today. The head coach for Michigan State just got offered, and they're like 99% sure he's going to sign or he's about to sign it, a 10-year, $95 million contract. That's going to make him the 2nd highest paid coach in all of college football. He's going to be the highest paid African-American coach in the history of the United States. So that's huge. And congratulations to Mel Tucker for that. But I think that party's not going to last too long. Michigan State, they obviously beat Michigan. They've been one of the biggest surprises this year. They have that running back with Kenneth Walker, who leads the nation in rushing yards with 1,473. But Michigan State only has a 13.7% chance to win, according to ESPN FPI. I really want to say Michigan State here. I really want to, jump on the hype train, but I just can't. I love Walker. I would give him the Heisman right now if I could, but I just think that Ohio State's been way too good after that Oregon loss, and I think they're going to dominate. They're going to dominate offensively, and Michigan State's not going to be able to keep up, but it will be a very close game, I think.
I would go the same way with Ohio State. We've seen this movie play out so many times here, where they have that early season stumble, and then they just kind of keep building in the Big Ten until they get to the point where they're in the college football playoff. And I think it happens again. Michigan State will lose to Ohio State.
I'm going to say the same thing. I think Ohio State will probably take this home. Their relentless offense, their trio of receivers is going to be unmatched in this game versus Michigan State, in my opinion.
I agree. All right, Kevin, it's game time.
Yeah.
All of you guys care about the most. SMU is heading to number 5 Cincinnati. Give us a preview.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of where are we going to really start with this game? So first, let's go look at it from the SMU perspective. SMU, this is their biggest game of the year by the ranking of the team that they're playing. You can kind of go back and forth and argue whether the Houston game was actually bigger because of the loss, but this is undoubtedly the game that they have been building to all year, the one that they lost last year at home in kind of an embarrassing fashion. So that's going to be a big narrative going into this game. And injuries are going to be something to look out for. Danny Gray, will he be able to play? Has been in a boot and crutches all week, stemming from his injury last Saturday against UCF. So injuries are something to look out for. And it's going to be one of those things where which offense is going to score more points. We already know Cincinnati's what they can do. Desmond Ridder, a Heisman Trophy runner in the running for Heisman Trophy all year long. And on the flip side, SMU's offense are going to have to carry them at this point in time with Tanner Mordecai and company, and Ulysses Bentley back in this game full strength as he was last week. So a lot to look out for, a lot to talk about, but I think that's just the lay of the land right now.
So you can't pick it. You're going to be in Cincinnati covering the game. So Grace, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think Cincinnati is obviously a strong team this year, and I think they deserve the buzz that they've generated in the college football world, but as we were talking about before with the rankings, they haven't played anyone of note, in my opinion, besides Notre Dame, really.
They're always overrated.
They haven't faced a true test, at least in the ACC or even in their next conference of the Big 12. I think SMU will be that test for them and see whether their offense can truly hold up to the standards that they say they can. Like, they've been playing Tulsa, obviously, and teams like that. And I don't know if SMU's offense is what they expect it to be. I think SMU's offense has the potential to give the Bearcats a run for their money. I think they're going to have to get creative and definitely hold their ground on defense. But I'm gonna stick to the Mustangs on this one and hope they bring home the win.
I love that pick. Kevin, I got some things for you right here.
Okay.
Who's a better offense? If
Cincinnati.
this is a shootout, you really think Cincinnati?
Yeah, I do believe that.
Look at the stats, boy. We average more yards per game, more passing yards, more rushing yards.
True.
We've had a better offense all season. And you said, who's back from injury this week?
Ulysses Bentley.
Ulysses Bentley is back.
Yeah.
He fuels this SMU offense I mean, you saw what happened last weekend versus UCF. He came on, had that 56-yard run, and it was game over after that. He is the heart and soul of this team. You know what game this had similar numbers to this season?
Is it TCU?
It is TCU.
It is TCU.
It is TCU. The FPI versus TCU was SMU had a 29% chance to win the game. This one, SMU's at about a 24. It's pretty similar. Spread for this game, 11.5 for Cincinnati. TCU opened up at 11. Kevin, you know what I like to think here.
I think I know where you're going with
I think
this.
I got some down there to your right that I want to put on.
Here you go.
Here we go, baby. This is the pick. SMU football is winning this week. Pony up. Stings are going to win by a touchdown. We are going to dominate. Run with the Stings this week. Where's the front of this thing? There it is. That's what I want. SMU football, they are going to dominate. Roll with the Stings this weekend. Tune in. ESPN 2:30. Roll with the Stings. That's all we got for y'all. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Peter Warner.
I'm Grace Thompson.
I'm Kevin Reynolds.
Let's go. Pony up. Thanks for tuning in.